Welcome back to another video on Design Tech Unraveled. My name's John, and this video is going to be a little bit different than what we've done over the last few videos. So on the screen right here, this guy in the gray shirt kind of in the middle of the screen is a John from 2015, full of hope and all sorts of excitement for the AEC industry back at Revit Technology Conference North America. Kidding, of course, but this is me at Revit Technology Conference North America 2015. So I've been cleaning up the YouTube channel, kind of cleaning up a few things as I've been posting more consistently. And I have noticed that there are a few videos that are private that were previously unlisted. YouTube made a change this year to where they made all of the unlisted videos private unless you went in and changed them. And I had a few videos on here that were from RTC 2015 Revit Technology Conference, which is now built, which is now Digital Built Week, which who knows how they're going to change it anymore. But anyway, I had some videos that were posted for our presentation during that conference that they're just lost. I did think about making these public, just sharing them publicly. That way people can see them. They're pretty poor quality, and it's a bit confusing if I just share them all of a sudden because they are old workflows. So I tweeted, what should I do with this? And Alexine from TestFit, so shout out to her, she actually mentioned that I should just review them and I guess kind of roast myself as well because they are they have some pretty bad moments in them in terms of content quality as well.
Gumby has a better body than you. Boom. Roasted.
So what we're going to do is watch a few videos. We'll kind of review them. I'll end this video with the trailer that I published for RTC to enter a contest as well. It doesn't have any music on it, the private version, but I'll just add some music at the end if that's of interest as well. But yeah, let's get right into it. So here we are. We have the demo reel from RTC 2015. So this is the after the conference recording that happens for them to be able to publicize it. I'm sitting right here and I look super excited. And right behind me is Jeff Pinero, the Revit kid. I didn't even know he was sitting right behind me in this class, and he's someone that I've interacted with a whole lot since then. This was my first AEC conference, and it was pretty wild to be able to meet all these people whose blogs I followed and everything. I was a co-speaker at this conference, and I actually didn't have any experience at conferences before this. So we'll go ahead and play these. I need to put some headphones on so that way we can hear this, but shout out to Eric as well. I saw him at AU, but he suggested for AirPods to get these little black phone tips. They help them fit so much better. I was actually on a Revit Kid live stream when I first got these, and they kept popping out. And Eric actually suggested I try them out, and man, they've been awesome. When I saw him at AU, he asked me how they've been working out, and they've been working out great because I use them so much I've had to buy 3 packs. So definitely a good thing. I'll leave a link below for them if you want to check them out yourself. But yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and play this and see what we have in here.
I come here to share mostly, to meet other people, to network.
So this video is public facing. I'll link it below. This is Andy. He runs a blog called Deity. He models insane stuff, and he was a great person to meet at the conference as well. More or less, I found it really neat that I was sitting right here, mesmerized by what I was seeing, which is kind of cool.
I come here to share.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and clear that one out and check out the next one. So like I mentioned, this was my first AEC conference. So I was a co-speaker for my BIM manager at the time, and I was showing Dynamo with energy analysis. I plan on having videos to be able to share as we were working up to the conference. I believe that's what these are as well. So let's go ahead and check this out.
Hey everyone, this is John Pearson here. I'm just taking a moment.
Yeah, I'm obviously pretty nervous to introduce myself, saying ahs, very nervous as to what to do. My blog started shortly before this time, and generally speaking, I wanted to share things, but I just hadn't done that a whole lot yet. This is actually the original Rhythm logo as well on my desktop wallpaper, which is kind of funny. So yeah, let's see what else we have to say here.
Moment to upload some videos regarding some of the Dynamo workflows we will be showing at the Revit Technology Conference this upcoming week. That way they have somewhere to be and people could see the workflows just in case we don't quite get to them during the conference.
So we did, I guess, a little bit of a story here as to why I recorded these. We did a couple of runs on this, and we ran out of time for my part, which was pretty tough, if I could be honest. So I was like, I'm just going to record them and publish them on the blog then. And that's where these were originally, was embedded in blog posts. They weren't public facing YouTube videos. I wasn't doing YouTube to share content at the time. It was more of a avenue to host videos. So they were unlisted. And I was a little nervous about not being able to show my content. So I at least wanted to get up and be able to say, here's a link to view them. That was very important to me. So that's kind of the idea that was happening there. I totally forgot that till just now, so that's pretty wild.
So one of the things we're actually going to talk about is optimizing your workflow to make things quicker, especially for repetitive tasks.
Yeah, so showing Dynamo back in 2015 at RTC, which was pretty cool. This specific example is showing some of the lighting analysis parameters and how to modify them with Dynamo, if I recall. So let's go ahead and zoom forward here. Basically, we had a parameter on all of our rooms that were yes or no to include in daylighting. And we wanted to be able to batch check those. That way people didn't have to do it on projects. So what we were doing in Dynamo, or what I built for this presentation, was a lookup value based on room names. So checking them based on room names we know we would never do lighting analysis on. So that's kind of the idea.
Let's go through that graph. First thing we're doing is we're selecting all of our room category and we're setting.
And this is Dynamo 0.8, I believe. It still has a little box in the corner to do the flyout preview. So comment below if you remember that as well. It's been a little while.
It's been 84 years.
The automated shades to none. You don't have to do this. This was just all of something at one workflow after all.
So this is interesting because we are doing a lookup based on hard-coded names. So those names needed to be exactly correct for this to work. I don't recommend doing a workflow that's that strict. I always tell people that working in Dynamo with people has given me a few trust issues because someone's going to tell you it will always be named this. That is so not true, because on the first one that you run it on, it's going to be named storage completely spelled out instead of STOR, store. So this was kind of made for the file that it was running on. Nowadays, I would do something that's like, it's called a fuzzy lookup. So I'll include a link to that. There are nodes for that in Dynamo that compares how similar a word is to another. So that'd be a smarter way of doing this.
From there, we're going to go ahead and get the element name. So the name of the rooms exactly, rather than doing.
I don't know why I have a string from object in there. The element name is already a string. So that's a redundant node. Kind of weird.
Another get parameter. And now I'm just turning basics of Dynamo. That'll be more.
So overall, the pace is pretty slow too. So I'm a little impatient here. So I'll click through. Those are our room names separated by a comma. If someone put comma space, it would break the whole workflow also. So I'll do a video here soon on how to prepare for some of these kind of things, because preparing for what your users will inevitably do is important, I think. So let's see what else we have in here.
Through the name for those characters.
So we're searching for those words in the name. It is doing a contains, so the word STOR, if that appears, it's going to find it, which isn't great. We are using a list map in here, so also comment below if you remember list map. Pretty random node that iterates through lists quite a bit, so it kind of forces its way down a list. And I believe I'm using a few in this graph just because in older versions of Dynamo there was no at level, lacing was confusing, and all that kind of stuff. So you just kind of throw a list map at it and hope for the best, which was interesting.
From here we're just kind of searching it. These are a little more involved. It's changing it to where it's to our graph a little bit.
And then at the very end, we are setting those parameters. So let's go ahead and let the graph run. That way we could just see the finished result here. Classic John would be happy that we get to let the graph run.
Because it's doing it for the entire model. We come back, it set all of our rooms really quickly for us. And if we pay attention, it actually did that for every level.
Yeah, it's setting that yes, no parameter on the rooms, and those are now excluded, which is nice. So how did I finish this video, I guess?
That I will show this week before the RTC conference.
Kind of interesting is all these videos. So when I was at an architecture firm, I had a desktop computer. I had like a Dell Precision workstation. I didn't have a laptop. We had the loaner laptop. So like if you've ever used a loaner laptop at a firm, you know what I mean when you say the loaner.
Hey, yo! Bring around the loner.
The loner? The loner?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things that you had to check it out, hope for the best, and the battery always was terrible on it. It was always heavy. You always had to reinstall everything you're trying to use, all that crazy stuff. So yeah, I ran off to a conference room to record this at 10 a.m. apparently, and the battery was dying, which is hilarious. So yeah, onboard audio, all that good stuff in all of its glory, right?
I look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks.
Kind of cool. The other thing I'm using here is Camtasia. I don't use Camtasia as much anymore to record. I actually use a software called OBS. And I used to bake in these mouse cursor highlights, which I also don't do anymore because that's now baked into your video in kind of a weird way to where it's always there. I tend to use this control highlight, which is from a tool called Power Toys. I'll link that below as well, but you hit control on your mouse and it does like a spotlight on your screen, which is way nicer. And I do that more contextually as I'm working through something like we are on this video, which is kind of cool. So this second video, I believe, was actually recorded live at RTC. So once again, this was my first conference that I ever went to for AEC, and it was pretty exciting to be able to meet people. I believe I recorded this after meeting a few of the people that I follow, like the Revit kid. I met Sean Burke and Ryan Cameron in this class, and a few other people in the industry. I also met Aaron at this conference for the first time. I took his template class, I believe, and he's now my boss. So that's kind of wild. Back then I met him and now I work with him. So it's pretty cool how that all comes around. So yeah, let's see what this one's about here.
Hey everybody, this is John Pearson from 60 Second Revit.
Still pretty shy to introduce myself, which is reasonable, I think. 60 Second Revit, if you're new here, you might not know, that was what my blog was originally called. So I thought, why not share 60-second tips for Revit for people, because who doesn't have that long to learn something? That's been rebranded as of this year to Design Tech Unraveled because it's more general. 60 Second Revit kind of constrained me into a bubble of Revit, and I couldn't share some of the other things. I still focus on Revit a lot, of course, but I am able to focus on a few other things now, which is kind of fun. And it doesn't have the name of a software in the title, which is also fun.
This week I've been posting a series of blog posts regarding a presentation we're going to do on Saturday at RTC.
Yeah, so this one was recorded, I think, the first day. I was just really excited to be at a conference and start to meet people and things, which is pretty cool. So let's see. Yeah, so this one we're showing this gradient that happens with lighting analysis. I don't even know if the lighting analysis tool does all this anymore, which is also the reason for not just publishing these videos. But
passed or failed, and the times of day, like a cold area with no light that's red to something that's yellow. Color schemes applied to the view.
Yeah, so one of the things here was one of my tasks when I was at an architecture firm was to do R&D. Every day, my little team of Revit techs had 2 hours apiece to be able to do R&D and focus on things that would help the firm. That could be professional development, like learning Dynamo, which is kind of how I learned it, or some of these workflows like energy analysis or lighting analysis. As a firm, one of our goals was to do lighting analysis on every single project that went out the door. With that in mind, we had to make the tool work for what we wanted. In this case, we wanted a floor plan view per room, but we weren't getting this gradient on all those views, and we couldn't figure out why. So I actually spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out why. And the answer's kind of goofy. We'll kind of go into it here, but let's see.
The first time. This plan does have a color scheme, but one of the things, I'm going to turn that off actually.
And I don't know if I have the mouse clicks turned on in Camtasia, or it's just the mouse was really that loud. Kind of interesting.
So one of the things that happens is any existing view that you have, if you hit generate results, it actually won't apply the lighting analysis for Revit scheme over.
Yeah, kind of general. Since 2015, I've been getting frustrated with things and very much trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Ever since I was a little kid, I'd take things apart and dissect it and figure it out. And putting it back together is always a bit hard, right? But I'd always be the kid getting in trouble for taking apart the remotes and all that good stuff by my parents. So it's kind of something that's held true through all of this.
Bothered me quite a bit, because if you have certain views already created, it'd be nice to just generate it for those. Another thing we can see is analysis display isn't even an option in any other view in the Revit model. So like,
these are kind of things that like they built a rule in, just document it. That way we can know how to use it. It's so strange to me that that still happens to this day about things. See drop downs in Dynamo for more info. Kind of annoying.
It's not in this level 1. It's a parameter that just doesn't appear for some reason, which that was something that bothered me. So after some a little while of frustration and just kind of like looking at it,
I said at the beginning, sitting at RTC, someone full of hope and excitement, doing this for a long time, getting frustrated is kind of interesting what it starts to do, right?
I could find this workflow, so it's something that I do definitely want to share with everyone. What's one thing that's different between these two views? It's our lighting analysis. So if I copy that portion of the name, rename the views that I want to have that with lighting analysis, and I think it has a space actually, and I'll just click no.
Also, just gotta say, watching some of these old videos is a little hard, but it's cool to see how far I've come personally, I guess.
For now on that, we can then generate results, and it'll.
Very cool. Lighting analysis, back in 2015, it might still be, was tied to a prefix for view names. So you had to have a prefix for it to be able to generate results for you. Extremely frustrating. It wasn't documented. I even think I brought this up to Autodesk because we were beta testing some stuff and kind of doing a case study. Like, what the heck, people? Let us know about this. I had to spend some time to figure this out, but we were able to share with people how to kind of make that work.
Apply that colors. That analysis displays available, and that's if you've used Dynamo.
And I think this video was mostly made after the class as well. So I think this one might have been made after the class or right before. But during the class was really cool because we did have time for my portion after all, which was awesome. And I did all live demo on Dynamo. So back in 2015, there wasn't a whole lot of Dynamo classes to begin with, but I went ahead and live demoed Dynamo. So I showed the workflows live. I had a few PowerPoint slides, but I showed it live. After the class, Sean Burke and Ryan Cameron walked up to me and they're like, "Who are you? Where'd you come from?" Once again, this was my first conference. I was a co-speaker. So shout out to my old BIM manager, Brandon. Thank you for letting me be a co-speaker because that was really cool. And they came up to me after and they were like, "Hey, where the heck did you come from? You should be showing this stuff all over the place." And I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, it was really cool for me to be able to do that kind of stuff. This was my first kind of conference that I went to where I was actually co-speaking. Previous to this, I did mess around in Dynamo and I did attend a U2014. So it's not entirely true that this was my first conference. It was my first conference that I was speaking at though, which is kind of interesting. And my first RTC conference as well, which was kind of cool. So yeah, they came up to me and then I was like, okay, I'll start submitting all this. People are obviously interested in some of this. So that kind of helped me have some motivation to share this content to you, which was kind of exciting. I started submitting proposals every year to Built and AU. So I started submitting proposals every year to Built and AU, a few proposals, like 4 or 5 to every event. From 2015 all the way till 2017, I didn't get accepted. So in 2017, I finally did get accepted. So with that in mind, always keep trying. Don't give up. Always be trying to present these things and submit, because someone out there is interested in what you have to share. So always try to share it in any kind of way that you can. It also shows others what you can do, which is really exciting. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and see how I ended this video because I'm curious too.
Can do it. We can also duplicate views with Dynamo as well and create some new views, but this is for Revit that I wanted to share.
Yeah, so I talked about renaming views and duplicating them with Dynamo. Back in 2015, out of the box definitely didn't rename views, and I don't really know of all the packages that did. This workflow is really doable now, adding prefix to views and things like that. We do quite a bit these days.
I'm here at RTC in Washington, D.C. So if you see me around, just stop on by and say hello. And
Yep, at this point I had met people and I was like, oh wow, you actually meet people at these things. That collaboration and that community is probably the best part of all these events. So keep that in mind too. All right, so to finish this out, I'll go ahead and drop some of this in there. But kind of fun looking back at some of the old content. Let me know below if you think this was kind of interesting. And other than that, I'll play a little bit of this little trailer that I made to enter the competition they had that year. And I'll see you in the next one. All right, we'll catch you later.